Okay, before I start this video, can I just say how right this game got Luke? Granted, the campaign is the gaming equivalent to watching paint dry while your organs are being torn apart by vultures, but the one thing it does get right is Luke Skywalker. Not so much the face, but the voice, the vibe, everything. It reminds me so much of what he's like in the books. I pretty much only read about Boba, Luke, and Thrawn in Legends, so right now, being a Star Wars fan, feels pretty damn good. Okay, so you want to max out Luke Skywalker in 2 days of major grinding. Cool, let's talk about star cards first. What you'll need for this guide are purple star cards for Epicenter, Intensify, and Rush Immunity. With Luke, I'd like to run this Rush card because we'll be in a lot of action here when our force abilities are on cooldown. So this 15% damage reduction per Rush is pretty nice for staying alive and continuing your streaks. However, if you are a Chad lad, you can swap this for Extended Push or Jedi Fighter. The 30% extension to the push is really noticeable, and you'll on occasion being 6 or 7 guys with just one use of the ability. I like Jedi Fighter as well because I like blocking blaster shots with Luke to soften up the heavies and reinforcements, and given how much extra stamina we receive with this card, it makes it another valid third option. So in my opinion, Epicenter, Intensify, and Rush Immunity. But if you're into those substitutes, go for the swap. Okay, now I believe there would be 2 really solid XP maps for Luke. We'll be looking at Kessel and the Death Star 2 today. Yavin is right before the Death Star, so if you feel like taking the defense gamble, go right ahead. It's not a bad map for XP actually, if you're constantly on your toes, that is. Scarif is right behind Kessel. I don't think Scarif dishes out XP per minute parallel to the 2 best maps, but it's up to you. I know games are a little bit harder to find these days. Okay, on Kessel, since it's an attack map, we get 3000 XP per objective capture, so it's optimal to have Luke on the first phase. Rushing through the middle and out into the open with Luke would be dangerous as is. But also there are pools on Kessel that damage you over time, so through spawn I like to take this hallway and fight my way from the inside out, with as much of my back covered as possible. Focus on wiping B, leading with your force abilities, because by the beginning of the next spawn, having them at the ready is pretty essential. When you notice that they're spawning, come down to these pipes, but make sure you're out of their line of view, because if they see you, they will stop, scatter, stay inside the hallway, and all in all, it will make your force push a lot weaker. So wait for a couple beats, then use any combination of your 3 abilities, before coming back up to this ridge and destroying these guys. Now, for the second phase, it's important to stick around to A. Whole lot better spawns with decent cover as well. Now, when rushing down this hallway, don't use your abilities right away. I'm pretty sure troopers in the hallways to your left and right are told that you're here, so wait a couple seconds before using your force push. Cut left into A and lead with block. Look for a decent repulse opening. If the objective is clear, you're sitting quite comfortably. When they spawn again, wait on this corner until you see about 6 or 7 in the hallway. The reinforcements usually lead the charge, so dip out for a bit and make them stick to the back. Then push, rush, basic attack. Or push, rush, repulse, whatever you're into. After this phase, beam over to A and make sure you lead with a clean epicenter. You don't need to push into the other objective. Try to speed cap this objective because the last one is super good for Luke XP. If you're having a hard time in these hallways, try the more defensive Luke playstyle. Now what do I mean by that? Well, basically with Intensify we one-shot non-heavy troopers, so lean heavily into your block and get into that one-strike dash block rhythm. Blocking blaster shots and aiming for the upper torso can be just as useful as a basic attack. Rushing into these rooms, swinging like a lunatic, it's all a really easy way of getting yourself killed, and enemy heroes can complicate things for Luke. Speaking of enemy heroes, on phase 4 there is going to be 2. So before you bring about 20 troopers to their knees, you'll need to bring them down first. If it's a saber hero like Maul or Vader, I'd suggest not engaging in a direct fight, but rather leading them into this out-of-bounds zone. This will likely save you a ton of health and time. Once their heroes are out of the picture, you're free to harvest from the collection of stormtroopers. Just be mindful of your health because a repulse does still leave you exposed to everyone around you. This is where the extended push star card can be pretty useful. Leading with your force push and block is a really smart way to start clearing the room. But once it is clear, wait and look in this location. When the radar flashes red, do jump, force push right here, rush further in, then launch repulse. Don't stay in here too long though, because these guys need to meet your blade ASAP. Basic spamming works pretty well here. Just make sure you're sitting on a good amount of health. As long as you run this cycle of death, you'll be able to solo this last part until capture with ease. Now, upon completion, 50 to 60,000 total XP is a good number, but if you prolong the last phase, it gets in the 70s to lower 80s range. So from my experience, Kessel is cleaner when it comes to XP per minute. But on the Death Star, it's not only safer, but it does give you around the same experience, even though it does take a little bit more time to get into the groove of things. Alright, let's get into it. On the Death Star 2, it's an offensive map just like Kessel, so it's good to have Luke on the first phase so you can snag that free 3000 XP. Objective 1 is very simple, so just aid your teammates at their chosen zone and do your best to build up the Intensify star card, because the amount of damage Luke deals will play a big role in the next phase. Phase 2 has its options, but I always attempt to clear A first. You can either ambush them with this route, or if your health is relatively low and the aggressive approach seems futile, jump down and tap the troopers on the front lines with a force push. Retreat back here, then work on thinning the ranks closest to your bubble of safety until you can rush the enemy heroes and ISB agents. If you're on a 20 kill streak, your lightsaber should be in one-shot range, so don't be afraid to get too aggressive. The Rush Immunity star card has saved me countless times on the Death Star. I like to be constantly offensive, so it complements that playstyle quite nicely. After those guys are down, clean up these trenches at B, and guard this doorway. This is the biggest spawn in the second phase, so it's best handled by a force push and repulse. But there are several other areas where enemies can spawn, so until your capture you'll have to be in war mode. But once it is captured, congratulations, because the worst is over. On phase 3, Luke can have a tough time solo capping A, so I'd advise leading with your teammates to B. This cap is decently quick and gives us ample time with phase 4, which is the real meat of the Death Star 2. While your teammates are capping the objective, it's better to be inquisitive with Luke and stay on the front lines. If you're having an easy time, you can even hop over to A and introduce yourself. The hallways of the Death Star provide great cover for Saber heroes. This, combined with Luke's health regen speed, make him a true force to be reckoned with. However, he's not invincible, so for the third time in this video, be smart about your health. Okay, on the final phase, I start with the outskirts and try to end the reinforcements like ISB agents before they become a problem in the future. Rushing in solo on the last objective can be pretty problematic. With the added variable of enemy heroes, it's best to steer clear of them and focus on the troopers before dueling a Maul or Vader. If you get choked here, it can all end in the blink of an eye. This area is like home for Luke. There's so many different places you can find cover in, infiltrate and flank. If you balance being patient and aggressive, working from the outside in until you close in on the objective, this phase will be really easy for you. Now you can see here by the time I cleared this objective, I was scooping up around 70,000 XP. The great thing about the Death Star is there's lots of ways enemy troopers or heroes can contest the objective and keep the game going. If you and 3 other friends play Battlefront 2, first of all, you're one of the luckiest human beings alive. And second, you guys can leave a few stormtroopers on the objective and extract more XP from the spawns back here. And you can do that for pretty much as long as you want, just as long as your bots don't kill their bots. It really is an amazing map for Luke. Kessel is too. Like with all Saber heroes though, it'll take some practice to be fully combat efficient with him in co-op. In the middle of my Luke grind, I thought I had reached peak potential, but I did keep increasing my skill, honing my strategy, and sharpening my playstyle. The point I'm trying to make is, if you're having a tough time or the XP you're getting is coming up a bit short, don't beat yourself up about it. If you're willing to grind Luke up to 1,000 or heck even 500, you will notice significant changes after you mess around with him for 100 levels. Alright, best of luck out there with your level grinds. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the amounts of support you guys have been giving, and I'm over the moon with how the channel has been performing recently. Alright, I'm gonna head out. Have a wonderful day.